for some peace of mind, but TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat, and someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line, and Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. I'm just sitting here scrolling, my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just...
Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the little delay. We're having a retainer trash can search party going on, so there's a little bit extra noise this morning. We are hoping to find a retainer that may or may not have been thrown away. Don't be jealous of my very glamorous life. Thank you, Wolfram, for doing your Modly Mod duties, and Tammy CA and Audio Coffee, good morning. And for everyone lurking, Jason J and Alice G, we are having a good morning. Look, at least it happened after like trash stuff out, so hopefully it's going to get found. We do have a couple of really sad stories, starting off with Dog the Bounty Hunter. It does appear that he lost his grandson, or step-grandson, but at this point grandson, in an accidental shooting over the weekend. The stepson of Dwayne the Bounty Hunter Chapman was accidentally shot and killed, the Fame TV personality's step-grandson. So the stepson might have, or killed the step-grandson over the weekend. The tragedy unfolded in Naples, Florida, apartment of Gregory Zeka, the son of Chapman's wife, Fran, on Saturday night. Now, allegedly, it was an accident, and that is what's being investigated right now and looked over. The Collier County Sheriff's Office confirmed to Naples Daily News that it was investigating a deadly shooting from Saturday night, calling it both an isolated incident without identifying anyone involved. We are grieving as a family over this incomprehensible tragic accident and would ask for continued prayers as we grieve the loss of our beloved grandson Anthony, representative for Chapman and his family, told TMZ. Now, Zeka, a member of Chapman's bounty team, according to TMZ, appears to be proficient or have firearms in his home. Looks like he took his son Tony to a range in 2021, the same year that the father-son duo visited a force multiplier store. Now, Chapman, 72, married Frayne Zeka's mother in 2021, shortly after their prospective former spouses had passed away. Dog was previously married to Beth Chapman for 13 years until she passed away June 2019 after a lengthy battle with throat cancer. Now, in their part, their families are united in their share of grief and, just that kind of stuff. Honestly, I think more will come out about this story. I extend my condolences to the families, but I do think that there is going to be more that's going to come out about this story. And it's just a terribly sad thing that happened. It would be sad if it happened to someone not named Dog the Bounty Hunter. And it's sad when it happens to someone named Dog the Bounty Hunter. I really, really do hope that, again, this reminds people that these are dangerous things. One second. Sorry, we are still looking for the retainer, and I was giving some more ideas about where maybe trash would have been put. So I'm after I get done with this, I am going to be looking for trash through trash. So don't be too jealous of my glamorous life. But I do hope that this reminds people that these are dangerous things. I sit down before the boys go into our forested area and remind them every time before they go out and play that if they come across a force multiplier, it's not a toy, and to, get an adult. Now, I say that with the knowledge that this is more likely to happen in a rural area. You would think people who live around force multipliers would be more cautious, but I've seen too many stories like this where kids thought it was a toy or they were just playing around. So I have drilled that into my boys. Now, it didn't stop them from throwing rocks at spray can bottles, so there you go. Oh no, because I don't do well with bad smells, so there would be retching, and that is not the ASMR that anyone wants to hear. Not from me, at least. Well, this chick, I don't know how she's managed to get out of prison time, except for the fact that she's generally young and attractive. But a Florida predator has been given probation for pepper spraying rich men, then stealing their luxury watches. Florida, what's going on here? I do not understand what's going on here, Florida. A Florida predator was given a slap on the wrist after pleading guilty to luring rich men to hotels, then pepper spraying them and robbing them of their luxury watches. Esther Torres, 20 years old, avoided jail time and was sentenced to 5 years probation on Wednesday, following 2 incidents where she isolated men and then sprayed them, robbing one of an expensive Hugo Boss watch and another of a luxurious $22,000 Rolex watch in late March, per Law & Crime. Now, the first incident took place at the Breakwater Hotel in Miami Beach, with the 20-year-old thief pepper spraying the victim and then taking the Hugo Boss watch directly off of his wrist. She also then robbed him of more than $200 in cash and euros and made off with several of his credit cards. Now, during the second incident, Torres pepper sprayed another man at the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami, snatching a $22,000 Rolex Submariner from the victim. I mean, honestly, y'all aren't going to get a watch off of me. The victim told the police that the mace attack left him temporarily blinded. Now, surveillance footage captured Torres leaving both hotels after macing and stealing the watches, according to Law & Crime. We have a predator and she's preying on male victims, the owner of the Sherbrooke Hotel located just minutes away from the Breakwater Hotel told WSVN. Now, Novak also said that he handed over surveillance footage from his hotel and helped the police identify Torres. Now, police got hot on Torres's trail in April when she arrived at the scene of another person's traffic stop after the man driving had been arrested. She was later identified as the suspect in the 2 robberies by her driver's license, which she provided to police at the scene of that arrest. Now, Torres was finally brought to justice in May and was arrested by police during a traffic stop. They confirmed her identity based on an image of need to identify flyer that had been issued by law enforcement. Now, police released body-worn camera footage of her arrest, which shows her dressed in a strapless white top, hair bonnet, and being asked by police if she has any weapons on her. You know it's a good body cam when you got a hair bonnet on. You have no weapons on you, none of that stuff, right? An officer is heard asking in the clip, and she says, no. Now, police had said that Torres had a child in the car with her when she was taken. Now, the child in the vehicle was picked up before Miss Torres was taken to jail. How did she end up with, probation? What the hell, ma'am? Now, she was initially charged with 2 counts of robbery in the first degree and ordered to be detained without bond. She was granted a recognizance bond in June, is no longer in the jail system following her probation, sentence. So there you go. I guess watch thievery is legal in Florida as long as you only mace a person. I have no idea. What is the message we're trying to send here other than don't wear expensive watches and go to hotel rooms with random people you don't know? In what the hell? And this is final form Jesus stuff, because I'm not a medical doctor, but I know that you shouldn't wear metal in an MRI. So how the hell did this happen? A Long Island man was unfortunately lost his life in a freak MRI accident while he was wearing a 20-pound chain necklace with a padlock on it. Now, I can tell you I've had an MRI, and Mo wasn't even allowed to wear a cotton bra. Yeah, I had to free boob it on my way to the MRI, which is not as fun as it sounds because it's just not a fun experience whatsoever. At like negative 10 degrees Celsius, because they have to keep that room incredibly cold. And I realized I have a scotch of the claustrophobia, which I had no idea I had. But how in the hell does someone, excuse me, get in to an MRI with a 20-pound necklace on? How does this happen? A Long Island man who was killed in an MRI machine accident was sporting a staggering 20-pound chain necklace adorned with a padlock during the time of the tragedy, his grieving wife said. I have so many questions. Now, Keith McAllister, 61, passed away after suffering several heart attacks following a bizarre incident at the Nassau Open MRI in Westbury last Wednesday. At the time, his wife, Adrienne Jones McAllister, was undergoing a routine knee scan in the MRI machine. Now, she said that McAllister would typically enter the exam room to help her get back on her feet near the end of her appointments and had never had an issue before the deadly incident. Now, McAllister had taken to wearing the hulking 20-pound necklace as part of his weight training, his wife explained to News 12 Long Island. Yeah, no. I don't, how did this escape everyone's notice? It's a big effing magnet. Now, they even discussed his training and the hard to miss chain with the MRI technician during their previous appointments, his wife said. It was not the first time the man has seen the chain on her husband, she said. They had a conversation about it before. Now, when McAllister entered the exam room with the technician, the machine suddenly switched him around and pulled him in, McAllister's wife said. Now, the technician and his wife tried to pry McAllister off the machine while she pleaded for someone to turn it off. Yeah, it's not... What in the world? I was saying, turn off the machine, call 911, do something, turn this damn thing off, she recounted to the outlet. Now, when MRI machines are on, they create strong magnetic fields which could attract metal objects like a 20-pound GD chain. Again, this is what happens when you're lax about standards of procedure, because it should never have been allowed in the first time, let alone the 9 other times that it was allowed in. It only takes one time for things to go horribly wrong. MLS, I mean, I just don't see the technician knowing about this thing and not making him take it the hell off. But I could be very wrong. And welcome, Shizzy Raiders. Yeah, it's a something. In an interesting case that I don't know that we'll have a full story on, but did want to give you a heads up about, a 9-year-old Canadian tourist, Melina Fratolin, was found no longer alive after her dad claimed that she was kidnapped. A 9-year-old Canadian tourist was found dead in upstate New York Sunday afternoon, just hours after an apparently bogus kidnapping report from her father. Now, Melania Galanis Fratolin's body was recovered near the Ticonderoga, New York area, roughly about 30 miles away from Lake George, where her father had originally reported her as last seen. And welcome Lefty and Flux and King Bob and MLS. Welcome, welcome. Now, authorities had issued an Amber Alert citing her imminent danger of being harmed or losing her life earlier Sunday. However, there was really no abduction during the entire time, authorities have announced. Now, her father, Luciano, 45, called the Warren County Sheriff's Office at 9:58 p.m. Saturday evening, reporting that his daughter had disappeared, noting a possible abduction. And welcome, Heroes Chris Painting Corner. Now, both of them were residents of Canada, according to the state police. While the, WCSO was leading the investigation, authorities found that there were a lot of inconsistencies with the father's account of events and the timeline that he provided, according to the New York State Police. Now, the investigation was turned over to the New York State Police due to jurisdictional concerns and, possible crossing of county lines in this case. Now, they were able to make the determination that there was actually no abduction in this particular case. On Sunday morning, state police activated the Amber Alert around 4 hours after she was reported missing, along with a description that was later canceled at 4:18 p.m. The child was taken under circumstances that lead police to believe that she's in imminent danger, is what the alert had read. Now, the circumstances of her abduction or the story that was given were not immediately released, and the suspect was listed as unknown in a statement that they released. Now, there will be holding a media event Monday related to her death and disappearance, and depending on where we are on Retainer Gate and helping Mr. Mo move some things, I will try to catch up with that or cover that in a video because this is definitely a case that I want to get a little bit more information on, and looks like they really haven't released much yet. Well, y'all want Final Form Jesus. I don't know how in the hell Final Form Jesus hasn't been summoned with this particular story.
The key kept its grove, thou glowing shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, Final Form Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack glistening, sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
He really needed to get those Jeopardy and Betty White, stamps before they went, completely out of production. Good morning, Brenda. The brother of ex-NFL star turned Army hero Pat Tillman was arrested after a car crash that set a post office ablaze. So if you had Pat Tillman's brother setting a post office on fire with a car crash, I'm going to need you to pick my lotto tickets and go buy me one. Like, I'm totally good. Half the lotto proceeds, I'll give you $2. The brother of former NFL player turned Army hero Pat Tillman was arrested Sunday in California. San Jose police booked Richard Tillman after he crashed his car into a San Jose post office, causing a fire overnight in the building, NBC Bay Area reported. Now, the crash happened around 3 a.m. Sunday at the post office on Crown Boulevard in San Jose, the police told the outlet. You know, hey, I mean, what is going on here? What in the name of all that is Cheetos and Frito-Lay? No injuries were reported and the specific charges remained unclear, but Richard Tillman is being held without bail, according to Santa Clara County jail websites. Now, according to NBC, the suspect told officers at the scene that he was the brother of Pat Tillman, the San Jose native who gave up his NFL career as a safety with the Cardinals to serve as an Army Ranger in Afghanistan before unfortunately losing his life to friendly fire in 2004. Now, the suspect also said he live-streamed the crash on social media, as you do. Yeah, live stream it, you douche. What the hell? Now, Richard famously hit back at religious themes mentioned by others at his brother's funeral service in 2004. He's not with God, he's effing dead, he's not religious, Richard then said. So thanks for your thoughts, but he's effing dead. Not gonna rag on anyone who just lost their brother and saying whatever the hell hot take comes out of their mouth hole, but maybe don't shit on people who are just trying to be kind to you when your brother died. Just throwing that out there. But I'll give you a pass on grief, making you say really dumb stuff. I don't know how you're going to be able to use grief and live streaming as the reason you set a post office ablaze, but interesting. Just, could you not be a dumpster fire human? Could you? Well, we might have found the most prolific fraudsters we've ever seen, and they're a pair of Texas singers. Ooh, it's Selena. I mean, it's probably not Selena. Things are going well in the retainer hunt, it seems. Behind the scenes reality wasn't nearly as glamorous as the show that was being put on. Siddhartha Sami Majakri and his wife Sunita built their reputations as Bollywood-style performers, beloved in the community where the couple were more than just entertainers. They were stars. Move over, Tammy Faye, we have a new baker. But now investigators say they played a much darker role, one rooted not in music but in manipulation. Authorities believe that more than 100 investors may have handed over money to both of the singers for real estate deals that never existed. Now, when the dividend checks started to bounce, the suspicions grew. They will make you believe that they are very successful business people, one of their fraud victims told CBS News, and they will take every single penny you have. Now, at first, police dismissed the complaints as civil disputes, but then a couple came forward claiming they had lost over $325,000 in an investment scheme. And that's when Detective Brian Brenna of the Euless Police Department took a closer look. As I got into the case and dug into it, I realized that this was a lot larger than what was initially reported, Brennan said. Now, at first glance, the pitch looked legit, remodeling contracts and invoices bearing the Dallas Housing Authority's name. But when Brennan called the agency to verify the deals, the illusion crumbled as there was no project. It was all fake, Brennan said. The level of counterfeit documents, it had to be a full-time job for him to keep up with those. A news report from IXP 1031 found that nearly 30% of all Americans have been scammed in 2024, and this case fits right into that growing trend. This scheme ballooned. Brennan had to call in the FBI, and forensic accountants were able to trace the cash, uncovering more than $4 million in confirmed losses. Now, so far, 20 victims are on the record, but investigators say that there could be more than 100 victims. So There you go. If you meet local Bollywood singers and they tell you they have a real estate investment, maybe don't give them all your money just for reasons. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe do a little quick Google search, see if the business actually exists, just one of those things. But this looks like it's going to become a federal case because of crossing state lines. So I will definitely keep an eye on this one, because once you've got things moving to different accounts overseas, it looks like there might be a bit more going on here. Well, just in time, glad we caught this, information when it could be relevant. Now, I will be doing a separate video on this, but I do want to let you guys know that secret Lake Chappaquiddick tapes of Ted Kennedy's cousins were, just recently discovered. Interesting. Almost like that these were revealed just after he could be held accountable for anything he did. Huh. In other news, duh. And in a legal case that I have been keeping an eye out on, because I think it's definitely was going to be possibly a big one. The owner of the Tennessee plastics factory where workers were swept away by Hurricane Helene floodwaters, they will not face charges. This was a case that I was keeping an eye on because there had been allegations from the workers and people who survived this that the company encouraged workers to stay in the plant knowing it was unsafe, basically trapping their workers. So I was keeping an eye on this because I do think that cases such as these and cases with this sort of failure of FEMA are going to be coming into the pipeline fairly soon with all of the devastation and destruction that was caused. The owner of a factory where 6 workers died last year in flooding from Hurricane Helene will not face charges after the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation found that there was no criminal wrongdoing. Now, First Judiciary District Attorney General Stephen Finney announced the decision to close the case on Friday, saying that there will be no further action taken. Now, I do not believe this precludes the families from a wrongful death or civil suit, but this does mean that criminal charges will not be going forward. Now, investigators found no evidence that Impact Plastics employees were told they could not leave the factory or that they would be fired if they left, according to a news release from the district attorney. It also found that employees had little more than an hour during which they could have evacuated from the Irwin, Tennessee Industrial Park. Now, the conclusion mirrors that of a similar investigation by the Tennessee Occupational Safety and Health Administration that found in April that workers had time to evacuate the premises, albeit by makeshift routes. A statement from Impact Plastics attorney Stephen Ross Johnson on Friday said the company president and founder Gerald O'Connor welcomes the results of TBI's investigation. The true and accurate facts are now known, the statement reads. Now, 5 employees and 1 contractor who cleaned the offices once a week were killed on September 27th after they were washed away by flood waters. Now, they were among 12 people who stuck close to the Impact Plastics building, waiting for the waters to recede after realizing the exit road was already submerged. When the water kept rising, they climbed onto the bed of a semi-trailer loaded with giant spools of plastic piping that was parked outside the factory. But when the floodwaters eventually overwhelmed the truck, the 6 people were able to use the piping for flotation and were later rescued. However, 6 others were drowned. Now, the Tosha report notes that several Impact Plastic employees did escape the flood. Some were able to drive or walk over an embankment to a nearby highway after workers at a neighboring business dismantled the fence there. Now, others escaped by driving over a makeshift path onto nearby railroad tracks. An employee at a neighboring business created with a tractor. So other people were able to get out, but do be on the lookout. I do think that this is going to move to the civil courts now, wrongful death. Now, attorney Luke Winder, who represents the family of several flood victims, says in a statement that they categorically disagree that Impact Plastics employees were given any meaningful opportunity to escape. Indeed, if the Impact Plastics accounts were true, Bertha Mendoza, Sabrina Bartnett, and others who perished would still be with us. So it's definitely going to have I think impacts going forward, and how some of these, decisions to evacuate, we're seeing similar questions being brought up with Camp Mystic. What are standard operating procedures? Should there be regulations by which, camp organizers, companies are forced to have, evacuation plans and things in place and standards of operation with these sort of flood is. Look, I'm not a doctorologist, I'm not a lawyerologist, and hell, I'm not even a meteorologist. My leg, I will say, is more accurate than your on TV host weathermen. I can generally tell you that today is going to be showers on and off. I've got like a 73% accuracy, so again, I'm still more accurate than your local meteorologist, but I'm not one. So I don't know how you go about solving these things. But I do think questions are going to be raised with this kind of thing happening, and us noticing a pattern here of kind of like, it's not my job to tell you to evacuate. Well, then whose job is it? Or is it a personal responsibility? And does that need to be noted? Well, we've come to the time, and I think I'm just going to call this Lord Chippy is quitting, because honest to goodness, he is, he doesn't like a single person. He would like to RSVP no to meeting any of these people, because these are some gross humans.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
Look, like I said, Lord Chippy would like to be RSVP'd no. He thinks he's going to get food poisoning from this one. A father impregnated his daughter, then drove her to Mexico to get the pregnancy terminated before she had a miscarriage in a Walmart bathroom. I am okay with sending this man directly to meet these swamp puppies. No, nothing. Where is, a dumpster fire when you need it? Texas officials say that a father abused his 17-year-old daughter to the point that she became pregnant with his child, then had a miscarriage in Walmart after he took her to Mexico to have an abortion. Sir, you are benefiting greatly from the fact that we have a judicial system that relies on due process and the presumption of innocence, but the Church of Mo doesn't handle any of that stuff, and we're like, send you to the center of the sun. Jerry Lee Martinez, 45, now faces assault charges on a child, records now show. Now, he was previously charged with abandoning or endangering a child and with criminal negligence, along with tampering with a witness and tampering with physical evidence. Now, local ABC affiliate KIII was able to obtain an arrest affidavit that said that Martinez's daughter told detectives that her father began being absolutely a monster when she was 15 years old. Now, it reportedly alleged that he had, assaulted her many times over the past 2 years, and that she had become pregnant with his child. Now, when he learned that she was pregnant, he repeatedly punched her in the stomach. Dude, this man, like, Lord Chippy, I'm taking it out your hands. We're sending him directly to the sun. Now, when that didn't work, he then allegedly drove the girl to Mexico last Monday to have an abortion, per the affidavit. Now, she allegedly had a miscarriage in the Walmart bathroom in Killingsville that night and then put the baby in the trash. Now, Walmart employees found the baby and called police, who later spotted Martinez and the teen stopped in their vehicle. Now, Martinez was arrested while the girl was taken to a secure location. Now, local NBC affiliate KRIS reported that Martinez's stepfather, 60-year-old Mario Duran, is also facing assault charges. Now, Walmart employees called police shortly before about 10:30 p.m. on Monday after they found a newborn in a trash can in a bathroom. Now, this leads to tell me, and I'm not an expertologist, but if the baby was well-formed enough to realize it was a baby, and if it was big enough to be a newborn, this was a close-to-term baby. Like, this was not, a very early in term. This was quite, you get about 4 months, you can tell it's a baby, but for them to think it's at least a full-term infant, you would be closer to the 7, 8, 9-month range. And she didn't have a miscarriage. She delivered a child. Because that's what you're dealing with when you get this far along. And I know that there's people that have had, children born sleeping and things like that. You do really, your body goes through delivery. So my heart goes out to this daughter. Just absolute terror and tragedy that she had to deal with by herself. Now, employees were trying to save this baby, who was transported to a local hospital. Unfortunately, a newborn exposed to cold, traumatic delivery, terribly sad. Now, cops did look at surveillance, which showed the 17-year-old girl walking to the bathroom. Then about 45 minutes, she was inside and allegedly walked out to the car in the parking lot. Some 30 minutes passed after that before employees found the baby. Now, that was around 11 p.m. when officers spotted the teen's vehicle and stopped her and her father. Now, we extend our deepest condolences to all that were affected in this tragic event, police wrote in the statement. Now, Killingsville is located about 45 minutes southwest of Corpus Christi. Martinez and his families lived in Matthias, which is about 50 miles north of Kingsville. He remains in Kleberg County Jail on $600,000 bond. Honestly, do we need to have a bond for this man? I don't think we do. I think it's safer for him, for the rest of us, to keep him in there, because I don't know that anyone can keep their peace with this man, because sure as hell no, I'd be doing some damn CrossFit if I could sucker punch him in the gut. Allegedly in Minecraft, I'm not allowed to do that, and I can't do CrossFit. Well, and again, the parental shitbag parade continues. Again, I can only do 2 of these stories of a morning. Otherwise, I will want to take my Ford Transit van, make it into a killdozer, and unleash justice upon the world, allegedly in Minecraft. I must stop myself from becoming Batman, so this is what we're left with. Lord Chippy and only 2. They were gonna take him anyway. Parents abandoned their young son without remorse at a courthouse after the mother tested positive for meth. Please don't let it be Indiana. Please fucking don't let it be Indiana. And Missouri. Okay. Well, it's not much, but it ain't my town. But it could happen in my town, which is why I was crossing my fingers off screen, because they're like, please don't let it be Indiana. We have already got that dumpster fire mom I'm doing a video on later. A Missouri couple allegedly abandoned their young son with, quote, out any remorse or ensuring that he would get proper care at a local courthouse, telling cops they're gonna take him anyway after the mother tested positive for meth. Now, Jeremy Lamp, 36, and Jessica Lamp, 31. Them are some hard years, but meth makes sense. Body by meth. They've been charged with child neglect for allegedly leaving their son stranded without any clothes, food, or other infant care at the Livingston County Courthouse, according to a probable cause statement filed in circuit court. Now, documents detailed how the Lamps were allegedly at the courthouse a day earlier for a drug screening with the Missouri Department of Social Services and its Children's Division. I mean, those mug shots, my shock, my Pikachu face. Who'd have thunk it? Now, Jeremy's test came back clear, but when she took a mouth swab of Jessica, it came back for the crystal. The department alleges. Now, the investigator stated to both Jeremy and Jessica that due to the drug test coming back positive, she had to set up a safety plan, according to the probable cause statements. Now, Jeremy denied that the safety plan was to have Jessica stay outside of the house and have Jeremy and the child stay outside of the house, or have the child stay with a relative. So they were given three options. Like, look, she is not clean. She needs to stay outside the house. Or the son and the father could stay outside of the house, or the child, if the dad couldn't be away from, his meth baby, then, they could stay in another place and the baby could go to a family member. What was not an option, what was not option D, was to leave said child in the courthouse because he's going to get taken anyway. God, every child deserves a parent, but half of these damn people do not deserve children or to reproduce. Let's be real. Half of these stories could be put under the column of why are we allowing people to reproduce like this? And I say this as a person with 6 children. So I get it. Pot, kettle, all sorts of things, but never just left a child at a courthouse. So, I am achieving something in this parenthood thing. I mean, I am going to be digging through trash for a retainer in the very near future, so come at me. Come at me, y'all. Now, the social service investigator told them that basically she couldn't leave the baby with them, is what the parents were saying. So the parents were like, the lady at DSCY, she said that we were bad parents, and I just said we need to get out of here because my probation officer done with me hanging out in the courthouse. Idiots. So basically, they just left. They left their baby because they are giant morons who shouldn't have been given the blessing of having a baby. Now, officers were later able to locate the Lamps at a medical center where they were arrested and taken into custody. Now, Jeremy told the police that none of the options provided by the court for his son's situation were viable, according to him. Now, he said that the Children's Division told them that they would take the child, so he left the boy with them. Sounds like something they would say. Both parents were charged with neglect and each have prior convictions on their records. Well, color me surprised. Including assault and driving while intoxicated for Jeremy and child endangerment for Jessica. Well, thank you, Child, and Family Services, for keeping them with their children. God forbid we let these people not experience parenthood. The world has gone mad. Anywho, they are being held without bail until their bond hearing on Monday. So guessing $5 are on their own recognizance, because that's just how we roll in the Midwest. Daggone it. Well, in happier or different kind of weird news, we got this one. A seedy sex festival has sparked noise complaints as 1,000 swingers descend on a sleepy town for a 3-day event. Apparently, the largest complaint, giggity, has been loud moaning sounds. Well, it makes my whole, trying to be quiet thing a little bit less, a thing. Kinky revelers have descended on a sleepy English village for the country's biggest annual swingers festival, sparking noise complaints from conservative locals outraged by the ear-splitting orgasms. Swingathon, oh my God. chat field trip. We are going, we are taking pictures, we are not participating, but this sounds like hilarity. Swing-a-thon is taking place this weekend in the town of Allington, about 2 miles north of London, and it has attracted around 1,000 amorous attendees. Now, that's more than the number of residents who live in the quaint village, who has a population listed of just 897. They're all degenerates. It's worse than having your town invaded by carnies. I mean, would this be worse, or would an invasion of furries be worse? In the chat, you decide. But I know where I'm going on a field trip next time. Harry Potter and the Swingers Foundation. Now, the 3-day festival of frisky play, tense pole dancing, foam parties, mobile dungeons, and sex games like butt plug bingo. I have so many questions. Is it like lawn darts with the butt plugs? How does one not know they're wearing one? Because I feel like the element of surprise is lost. Now, the annual festival first began back in 2020 and is getting bigger every year in both girth and length. Giggity. We're becoming known as the swingers capital of England. One second, apparently we've decided to do demolition while I'm doing my streaming because the basement is right below me. So 1 second while I yell at people. Well, in other news, Mr. Mo just broke out a desk, so that's special. I was like, sweetheart, hey, sweetie, hi, love you. You're right by my door, and I'm talking about swingers. Could you have some respect? No, it wasn't. Daggone it. Let's see here. And it's not the title we want, said one anonymous resident, told Southwest News. It's mostly elderly people and families here, so you can imagine them spitting out their tea when they learned that we'd be home to Swing-a-thon. I feel like we need Jerry Lewis and like a telethon. Like, I'll just be back here. Hello. Oh, okay. You would like to pledge $13 to the KY fund? Well, thank you and so much. And we'll be sending you our Swing-a-thon tote bag in appreciation. Thank you, Mr. Diddy. I mean, I'm not saying that I have some plans for when I take over, but let's just say they're usually the talk of the village. Some say let consulting adults do whatever they want to, but I know many are not pleased as they've chosen here for such activities. It's a bit sleazy and seedy. It's not for me, I'm afraid. So mark her no for, swing-a-thon. Now, in recent years, residents have publicly complained about the onslaught of loud moaning sounds coming from the site, as you can imagine. We need to put moan barriers up at the 4th and 5th quadrant. What in the name of all that is holy? However, the organizer of the Summer Sex Festival insists that there's nothing dirty about the event. Now, contrary to popular belief, there are no key bowls or key parties and bowls or CD music or lecherous individual or some high level of STD. In fact, the individuals within this community are respectful, conscientious, and more likely to practice safe sex. Welcome, Zach. Thank you for the super chat, and I found my tickets and my pen. So woohoo! Yeah, I mean, who are you going to trust that knows more about sex? Elderly people in the country or swingers? That being said, I don't know about having an orgy in the middle of a cow, like just grazing pasture, but okay. So there you go. People at swing-a-thon safer than going to a local club. The team are passionate about normalizing the sexual freedom that alternative lifestyles provide and will continue to strive against the prejudice and adversity by keeping the community safe and inviting or having an inclusive social play and learning space. I mean, to be fair, if I had to do homework in order to go to swing-a-thon, it might be the only homework that I'd really enjoy doing. And the sock puppets would be hilarious. Now, tickets to go to this are about $250. It includes live music, DJs, workshops, and demonstrations that are advertised as being in a safe and inclusive place that celebrates diversity. Read this as it's never the boobs you want to see. Never the boobs you want to see. Greedy bloke? I don't know, but I have heard of dogging. It made more sense in context when I realized that dogging involved no animals, because couldn't quite figure what the big joke about what it was on some British television until I Googled it. My computer has gone to herpessyphilitis after all I've looked up. Well, in things to haunt your nightmares, I mean, if it's not, well, a swinger, fit in England, it's thousands of fire ants making rafts with their bodies to invade other parts of Texas. Just know, Texans have been shaken as thousands of fire ants are seen forming rafts on the river using their body. Again, animals that wouldn't have gotten on the ark had I been in charge. Because no. Thousands of fire ants have been spotted on floodwaters throughout Texas cities, forming rafts using their own bodies, with residents now reporting this scary sight. KXAN Austin took to X to post a video taken by Austinite David Todd of the little creatures who were nestled into a large cluster in the waters of Lake Travis. Yeah, no, burn it with fire. Burn it with fire and we won't have fire ants. I think we are missing the entire point. I've done more than see them. I've run into them at night waiting on a ramp on the dock when the lake has been rapidly rising, and it sucks. Bring out the torch, said a person of logic and reason, like me. Now, these pesky bugs, which can cause painful stings, are rife in Texas, but when their underground nests flood, they sink their teeth into each other and interlock their limbs to create rafts to stay alive. See, Jack could have survived, Rose, you bitch. I swear the end of the Titanic should just be them showing multiple ways that Jack could have gotten on the door too. Rose is like, I'm gonna need your whistle as well. And I'm keeping the diamond. I'm not going to help my future husband. That movie pisses me off. Like, Rose goes out and has this other life with, future husband who she loves. Jack is dead. And I'm sure they had financial struggles. I'm sure that one of their kids lost their retainers in the trash can. And she had, the heart of the ocean over here. Their kids were like, we need a car, we need retirement. And she's like, we're on tough times. And she's been having this giant diamond. I do not like Titanic, can you tell? I've thought way too much about how Rose is selfish and a bitch. Welcome to the things that I think about at 3 a.m. Now, this terrifying thing is called self-organizing or self-assembling, and it's something that only social insects do, said Ed LeBrun, a research scientist at the University of Texas Brackenridge Field Lab. Again, no, no. When we see a float of fire ants, we take them out. I don't feel like if you could show me where fire ants are gonna, cure cancer or something, or like help us get perkier boobs, I'd be willing to keep them on. But as of this morning, no, no, I don't want fire ants, and I'm okay with their eradication. You didn't miss much. I don't know. Spoiler alert, it sunk. Well, I mean, why is it people always come up with these great ideas after I'm out of the game and I can't join the MLM? Side hustling mothers are paying for lavish vacations and weddings by selling their breast milk. I mean, damn. Soon as I take my biddies out of the ring, that they'd start paying you for this stuff. And I was prolific. I could pump some milk. So what the hell, damn it? Just never, it's never the right opportunity. Kara Williams is milking motherhood for all it's worth. The money-making mama is among the rising number of postnatal parents that are selling, well, their breast milk by the ounce, giving them a tidy profit of as much as $1,000 a day. While the bounty of their bosom is also often designated for other mothers in need, there are a surprising number of, well, subgroup buyers who are willing to pay the kind of big bucks that allow Williams and others to go on pricey vacations, have lavish weddings, or, afford things they might not otherwise be able to. The source of all that cash? Well, it's bodybuilders that are looking to bulk up by gulping down breast milk, as you would. I mean, damn it. Again, every time I'm out of the game, they pull me back in. I've made $800 in just one day by selling my milk on Facebook. Williams 31 gushed to the Post. Now, the enterprising, well, mommy milker, I guess it's not something you want to put on your LinkedIn, who lives in Atlanta, began hawking her oversupply as a lucrative side hustle in mid-May, using Facebook groups to make connections. She's since sold over 3,500 ounces of breast milk to bodybuilders, as you do. Because, I mean, no, just no. And all the no. Why? No. Now, the going rate for mothers is reasonably about 50 cents per ounce. That's a neonatal intensive care unit. But for bodybuilders, it can shoot up to $2 per ounce. As you do, Mr. Mo would be horrified. I couldn't make any money off this even if I wanted to get back in the game because Mr. Mo would be horrified. Now, payday comes at a cost. Williams confessed that she's extremely leery of selling to adult males, fearful that some of her wannabe clients might actually be creeps with kooky kinks for lactating ladies. Now, most social media inquiries are from bodybuilders seeking milk, and, they're just looking to get the best pre-workout ever. Oh my God, we're getting powdered coffee creamer. We're gonna make it work. Flux, we're in it. Who was the first bodybuilder that went up to their wife slash creep person they knew? I'm not a big cow milk kind of person either. After having children, I'm genuinely horrified with either, to be honest with you. I get people like milk. It's a personal thing for me. I like ice cream, so it's not that I'm against all dairy products. It's just more after having been a human cow for a while, I just feel a solidarity. And those milking machines look like they flippin' flapjack hurt. I'm just not going to lie. I'm standing in solidarity. I used to be a dairy provider as well, and those just don't look comfortable. So it's sort of, I guess you could say I'm vegan for cow milk because I just don't, look, it just looks uncomfortable. anyone who's ever pumped for a child or 6 of them knows it just doesn't look comfortable. That's all I'm going to say about it. Now, long hailed as a superfood of sorts, breast milk is chock full of nutrients such as vitamins A, B, and D, as well as calcium, copper, folate, iron, and zinc, and has remained in high demand among gym rats and health nuts over the past few years. Well, I mean, to be fair, just when I was out of the game, someone sends me this picture like I am a semi-shirtless man in need of breast milk, and I'll be like, oh, the humanity. Just kidding. The trend appeared to pick up amid, the coof, where research began, begging new moms for samples of their breast milk to try to see if any immunity could be gleaned because of that. But there you go. Apparently, if you want, you can sell your boob milk on Amazon. It's just, there you go. Have fun, have at it, and at least you're not selling LuLaRoe so you can look yourself in the mirror, or Tupperware, whichever happens. This shirt looked like it would be just my life, but a woman has been flooded with calls about a non-existent cat due to a t-shirt. A British Columbian woman's phone number has been flooded with calls about a missing cat that doesn't exist, all because of this t-shirt. Now, Natasha Lavone and Jonathan McCratch said they received dozens of calls that came in from people claiming to have found their cat Turbo, but their cat is named Mauser and he isn't missing. Sometimes, like 6 times a day, I'll get a call from these really random people leaving me voicemails saying that they found my cat and they want money for my cat. And I'm like, my cat's at home in the air conditioning. People then discovered that her phone number had been printed on a t-shirt sold by a company called Wisdom, NY, and the shirt features a missing cat poster with her particular number attached to it. Because of course, the use of any real number within the art created was not intentional, a representative for their legal, team said to CBC News. Now, Lavon says she doesn't want to change her phone number as it bears a 604 area code, which is difficult to get. I've had my number for 20 years. I don't want to change it, so I'll just keep not answering. She says she would like a real apology from the company. I feel like I deserve at least a free t-shirt after all this. I think we both do. See? This is like the Jenny's number. And in a feel-good about humanity story, because we needed those after especially this day's edition of Lord Chippy, but World War II veteran and social media star Papa Jake has passed away at 102. Not the happiest story, but he did reach out. And if you want to discover some of his really interesting stories and just life experiences, I'd encourage you to spend some time. I don't want us to lose our very recent history because we are losing the people who lived around that time a lot right now. A World War II veteran who became a social media sensation and captivated millions of people with his story has passed away at the age of 102. Now, Jake Larson, who became known as Papa Jake, passed peacefully and was cracking jokes till the very end. The granddaughter, Michaela Larson, said in a TikTok post Saturday, "I'm so thankful to have shared my Papa Jake with all of you," she said in her post. "When the time is right, I will continue to share his stories and keep his memory alive. We appreciate all the kind words and posts, as Papa would say. Love you all the mostest." Jake Larson was born in Ottawa, Minnesota on December 20th, 1922, and joined the National Guard when he was 15 by claiming he was 18. He was assigned to the U.S. Army's 135th Infantry Regiment in the 34th Infantry Division, known as Red Bull. He was deployed to Ireland during World War II, but shipped to or shipped June 6, 1944, one of the 34,000 Allied soldiers who stormed Omaha Beach during the D-Day invasion of Normandy, which was occupied by Germany. Papa Jake gained the worldwide following on social media with the help of his family and later created a TikTok page with a @Storytime with Papa Jake handle where his appeal grew to more than 1.2 million followers, and his posts have garnered more than 11 million likes. He also has more than 16,000 YouTube subscribers. Now, many of his social media posts recounted his encounters on Omaha Beach, where he escaped enemy gunfire, as well as recollections of fighting advancing German soldiers. It seemed like the landing was an eternity with all the firing going on. I can't describe it. And people would say, "Were you scared?" I was scared of stepping on a landmine. That's what I was trying to prevent, he said in a video posted by the U.S. Army last month. I was 5'7" at the time, and I weighed 120 pounds, and I said, "Thank God the Germans can't shoot at toothpicks." At least 2,400 Americans did not survive their invasions at the beaches. There are going to be casualty, but we're willing to risk that, he said. We had to get this done. We had to relieve the world of this guy called Hitler. You know, you've heard of him. Sometimes he's mentioned on the internet. Google it, as Chank would say. Now, Larson was the recipient of a Bronze Star from the U.S. Army Legion of Honor, which is France's highest honor. In an interview with CNN's Christiane Ampure, and she, with him, actually won an Emmy in June. Now, Larson received a Bronze Star from the U.S. Army and the Legion of Honor, France's highest honor. His interview about D-Day won an Emmy. I don't know why we needed to skip to that particular paragraph twice, but definitely one that I am going to be looking into because this seems like a great source. If you guys don't know me, I may be addicted to all World War II documentaries. In fact, I just watched a really interesting one about UK's the Wrens, the Women's Auxiliary Naval Assistance. I don't know. I'm not good with acronyms or spelling, but it was a very interesting story. So that's what I would be doing. And on a positive note, I have finished, so we are one step closer to craft channel being done because I've finished my project for the most part. I've got to go through and make sure I didn't miss any stitches, but these are the kind of things that I'll be doing on my craft stream. It is cross stitch, and I'll kind of be walking you through if you want to, go into cross stitching. You don't have to get all of the fancy dancy stuff that I have, but kind of walking you through how you would do one of the stamped kits that I have, how you go ahead and set up your thread, things like that. But it will be in just a little bit because we have realized with my new fancy dancy chair that this particular bookshelf isn't going to work. So we're going to be moving things around yet again because, as with all things, you're generally just testing what works. And since this isn't a conventional office chair, it does mean that some of our measurements were a little bit off. Jeff Montgomery, I will think about moderately miffed stitching. I mean, the draw for the crafting for me, honestly, is there are times where, it's rainy or it's yucky out, and cross stitching is something I can do, but I can also ramble and chat at y'all, and then, just do things that I would normally do. And in the words of our Pope, once removed, twice deposed, but currently working on atonement, Ricada, everything is content. So I'll be trying it out just to see how it goes. And I generally just like watching. I notice I watch videos of people working on their craft projects, and I'm like, I craft, I could do that. So I have a lot of things going and, figuring out how to get those done. But I have to go search for a retainer. Let me see who I can send you to. I do believe that Baker was having something go on today, I thought. But, you know, I'm a professional. Where in the world in the Hades on... Oh, well, that could be because I'm on the wrong page. I am a professional. Don't y'all worry. I got this down pat. I am what we like to call a professional. Oh, so Diddy Hunter Biden farce. Well, it looks like right now we've got Shelby Neely is getting sentenced on Recovery Addict, so I'll send you over there. I am looking at right now, so just to kind of do some housekeeping stuff, there is supposed to be a Stephen Stearns plea hearing today. Baker and I wanted to cover that, but thus far it's not being listed as a live stream anywhere. So just be sure to make sure that if they have it, we will be going over it. It does look like he will be pleading to both trials. So this first trial was supposed to be for all of the child grossness material and abuse evidence that he recorded on his phone. And then the next trial was going to be for Madeline's death. It does look like he's going to be pleading to both cases as long as it goes through. And then there will be victim impact statements. There you go. And Flux will be on killing some zombies, so go give Flux some love if you don't want to do like real serious thinking, because sometimes you have to be in a good headspace. And I'm going to go find me a headgear, not a headgear, a retainer, going back to my past. Although I will say that you will lose a retainer, something you can't see. I tried to lose that MF headgear, that thing all the time. Everywhere I tried to lose it, that thing came back like I owed it money. You cannot lose a headgear, because I have tried, and it continued to find its way back to my room. That being said, my mom also knew where I tried to hide things, so it's not like it had gravity. Bye, you guys. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire, because sometimes even Lord Chippy don't work. Like sometimes we need to elevate to center of the sun. So, you know, have a sassy mouth, because it's either dark humor, being a little bit sassy, or making a killdozer. You decide. Bye, you guys.